Good day, everyone. My group members and I will be presenting on the book Heidi, written by Johanna Sparry in 1884. My group members are Krista, Tiffany, Marcella, and myself, Jamelia. Hope you guys enjoy.
Johanna Huscher was born June 12, 1827, in a small village of Herzl, Switzerland. Johanna had six siblings, three brothers and three sisters. At the age of 16, Johanna attended a residential school in Yverdon in western Switzerland, where she graduated and stayed home and assisted her mother with her siblings. After 9 years of staying home, she got married to Bernhard Sparry. She had one son for her husband, who unfortunately died at the age of 28 in the year 1884. That same year her husband passed away. Johanna was depressed, but got uplifted by a family friend to begin writing. Her first book came out in 1871, which was a great success. She continued to enjoy writing and also writing books on Switzerland society in 19th century, children books, and young women books.
The intended audience. The audience that I think this book and this movie is geared to are mainly middle aged school children, and the age range would be from ages 10 to 13. I say ages 10 to 13 simply because when I read the book, I was looking at the vocabulary, and you could have seen the vocabulary were for children of higher levels but not too high. As well, I think this is geared towards the gender of females. As Heidi is deemed a heroine in the story, it is showing that girls can become heroes as well in society, even though mostly males are deemed as heroes. And this shed light that girls are capable of becoming a heroine as well. So that is what I have for this part of that slide.
This story is about an orphan named Heidi, around the ages of 5 to 6. Heidi lived with her aunt in Mayhenfeld town. It so happened that her aunt got a job and couldn't look after her anymore. So Aunt Detta, her aunt, decided to let Heidi's grandfather look after her in Swiss Alps, where he lived. While going to Swiss Alps, a few of the villagers didn't like the idea of a little girl staying with a man that is not religious and is a grump. Heidi and her grandfather learned to live happily with each other despite their resistance in the beginning. One day, Aunt Detta visited with intentions of taking Heidi with her to Frankfurt. This was to keep a little girl company that was wheelchair bound. She didn't want to go, but did anyways. It so happened that when Heidi was in Frankfurt with her Aunt Detta, the servant was mean to Heidi. This wasn't good for Heidi. Heidi was sad, uncomfortable, got sick, and was advised to return to her grandfather. Upon arriving, Heidi and grandfather united happily, which changed her grandfather's life for good and also her friend that was in the wheelchair. The major conflict in the story Heidi is when Aunt Detta came to take Heidi away from her grandfather to go to Frankfurt. Reason is Heidi already grew a bond, and both of them, Heidi and her grandfather, loved each other. But it so happened that Heidi wasn't supposed to stay with Aunt Detta for long because of the servant, and Heidi had to come back. It just proved to show that the love Heidi and grandfather had for each other was meant to be after all.
Cultural impact in Sperry's book Heidi is more geographical to me, which means that their cultural components related to where they lived. Her grandfather lived on a mountain with surrounding villages, and in that village everyone seemed to know everyone. And when you grow up, you go to school, you go to church, you learn how to read, you read your Bible. But Heidi's grandfather, being that he was separated from the village, he did not want to instill those practices in Heidi. He believed that he could protect her from evil by keeping her up on the mountain and letting her grow with the goats and the birds. But when Heidi was taken away, she did not adjust to that new life at all. She was already used to her cultural practices on the mountain because she loved being with her grandfather and she loved doing the things that she did, taking care of the goats with her grandfather. That was what she was used to. That was her cultural practices that she learned. And so when she moved away, she became very homesick and started an unusual sleepwalking because she was so uncomfortable. And so this had a major impact on her behavior when she moved away. And so it just shows that being around or living where you are and practicing your practices from a child and just being taken away from that so abruptly, it really changes your mentality and even your behavior, because Heidi began to sleepwalk and that was not something that she usually did. The main cultural artifact used in the store was the Bible. I felt like this played a very important role, and it was very significant in the book. Heidi learned to read and understand the Bible, and it contributed to some of the events that even took place in the story. For instance, when Peter rolled Clara's wheelchair down the mountain. And but because of this, or because of believing in God and Heidi's impact that she had with her friends, Clara did not see this as something bad. She was like, okay, I don't have a wheelchair, well, let me see if I can walk. And doing that, Clara did indeed learn how to walk, and her father was so happy. And it just shows that God does not give one's burden that they cannot handle. So that wheelchair incident, God made something positive come out of that. There are many social and religious lessons that can be learned from Sperry's book Heidi, but the main one that stood out to me was that good comes from believing in God. Heidi was a very pure person. Her actions were pure, her mind was pure. She learned how to read the Bible and she was not afraid to share what she learned from the Bible with her friends and her grandfather. She also learned how to sing songs for her grandmother, as she called her, and her mind was just at ease. And whenever she felt uncomfortable or she was not feeling herself, she prayed to God, and she prayed even more powerfully than ever before to get back that sense of comfort. And in the book, you also learn that when you believe in God and when you trust in God, God always make a way for you. Now, Heidi's situation in the book was that they took her away from her grandfather where she felt comfortable, and they took her to a place where she did not want it to stay. But because she's a person that is so pure, and because she believed heavily in God, things did not work out the exact way that she might have wanted it, but at the end she still got what she wanted, and that was to be home with her grandfather. Now, when talking about the quality of the book, I believe that it can be enjoyed by children and by adults who enjoy reading children book. and it is a very sophisticated and meaningful book, but it did not give the reader or me much to look forward to. Being that the grandfather, he was separated from the village and he lived on the mountain, it did not give the writer much to write about. So that might have thrown off some of the readers. Um, but overall, it was a pleasant book to read.
An artifact that I found very interesting was Hades Garden. It is the name of a restaurant there in China, I believe. As you can see there, the little Swiss girl and her sheep. Well, Heidi loves nature a lot, so hence the reason you see a lot of flowers around the sign. Comparing the book from 1884 to the movie from 2015. Comparing the book and the film. Heidi, the orphan girl, went to live with her grandfather. Second point, Heidi enjoyed being with her grandfather despite people's fear of him. 3. Heidi loved the nature of the mountain, especially the goats, and went with Peter to the pasture to assist him. Heidi's aunt Deet took her away from her grandfather to Seaman House in Frankfurt. Heidi got homesick and went back to her grandfather. Because of Heidi and her grandfather, Clara, Heidi's friend, was able to walk. So these are some similarities that I found in the book and the movie. Some differences that I found. In the movie, when Aunt Deet went to drop Heidi with her grandfather, he did not want to accept her. He closed the door. In the movie, when Aunt Deet went for her back, her grandfather got really upset that he told her that he don't want her back ever again. And in the book, it was different. In the book, it states that when she got homesick, she had nightmare and was a ghost for the house. The servants there in the house was afraid. They had to call the master of the house, Clara's father, to come and help them. In the book, it states that Heidi and her grandfather went to church, and from there, the grandfather asked for forgiveness to those who he hurted. And in the movie, that never did happen. The last point, in the book, it states that Clara was able to walk because Peter destroyed her wheelchair. But in the movie, it showed that Heidi was chasing after the wheelchair where she nearly dropped down a mountain and her grandfather went to save her. And Clara was so eager to help them that she started walking because she was worried about Heidi if Heidi had fallen down the mountain. Stereotypes. Heidi is more than a stereotypical and romantic character. This story is 100 plus years old, and in it, it is showing us how impressive one can live life with and without handicap. In the story, Clara was handicapped and Heidi was not, and it showed you how Clara and Heidi built a friendship, and even when Heidi was not around, she kept the friendship by sending letters to each other, and they built a friendship. So regardless of someone's abilities or inabilities, it shows us that it is still important to build a friendship with those type of people, because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. The next one is being an adventurous woman. For Heidi, she always loved nature and always liked to go out and to adventure. And in society, as a woman, society likes to look at that as being maybe a tomboy, or that's not a woman's sport or a thing that a woman should like. But unlike Heidi in the story, she did it anyway because she had a love for nature. Also, staying in touch with the less fortunate, she was very, very keen in helping those out because she herself was not much fortunate. And regardless of what people said about her being with the less fortunate, it was something that she loved. So in this story was filled with many stereotypes and Haiti overcome them, as well as the fact that she was deemed a hero for helping her friend learn to walk or for pushing her to learn how to walk as well.
Now, these are some pictures from the book. The first picture there, as you can see, that was when Heidi first reached with her grandfather to his home. He was serving dinner, and the table was too high for Heidi to reach. So Heidi had to sit on a little stool and use a chair for her table. The second picture there, she was with Peter in the pasture, sharing her lunch with Peter so that they could become friends. The third picture, you can see Heidi there with Peter's grandmother. She was very ill, so Heidi was with her, spending a lot of time. The last picture, Heidi was already in Frankfurt in the master's house, and the little girl there lying was Clara. This video clip here is from the movie Heidi from 2015. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
It's the celebrated story of the little Swiss girl who must climb the heights of the mountain to find the family that she lost.
Hello, Grandfather. My name's Heidi.
And now, Johanna Spyri's beloved storybook comes to life in an all-new original movie, Heidi. She charmed everyone on the mountain with her hope.
Told you she'd come, didn't I, Granny?
Most welcome she was.
Her